I prepared my 9-inch zipper, making some dots across this center section here. I've made 4 stitches per inch with the dots, so there's a dot every 1/4 inch across. I'm going to use the Giza cotton 4-ply from King Cole to make the stitches on the zipper, and then after that is complete, I'm going to work with the King Cole Big Value recycled dishcloth cotton to create the crochet around the project. For the first round, I'm going to use my 4mm hook, and from that point on, I'm going to use the 5mm hook. So to begin, cut a length of the starting cotton. And thread it onto your needle. And we're going to work into the zipper. We work from the back. So you pick one of the dots and pull this through. Make sure you catch the end of this thread. And just leave a little extra so you can sew it into the back. And pinch down so that this doesn't move when you pull on it. Pull this over to the one side. And now right beside the one that you worked already, stick the needle in. And then put it out through as close as you can to the next dot. Pull this behind like so. And then pull the thread through. And it creates that stitch. And then we'll just keep repeating that. You pull it to the side, insert the needle, next dot, push that through a bit, pull this behind, and make your next stitch. We're going to work this way all the way across until you run out of thread. And then we'll add a new piece of thread. Don't make the stitches too tight, because we do need to make our crochet hook fit underneath them for the first round. And just try your best to keep a consistent size for your stitches, as well as try to stay on this line here. You can see how there's this little bit of a different texture down the center. That's where I try to stay straight on. I'm going to show you how to finish this off. Now don't pull too tight on this because it's just to tack that into position. And then weave that in. I like to do it on the outside here and tie a little knot. Don't pull too tight though, because you don't want to make that last stitch buckle. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a knot. This is how we have what we have so far. We'll cut another piece of the cotton. And we're going to continue across. And how I continue across is I start it right where I stopped. but in the zipper, not in the stitch. So you go in between the 2 loops, pull that through and grab the tail so you can weave it in at the back after. Put it in beside, and then to the next purple dot, making sure this is on the other side of that loop. And then you just continue that way, and I'll show you how to work around the end. Now when we're at this end here, we need to make one of the stitches closer to the center where the zipper is, so we can get across this section right here. So we're going to work across now. And we're going to come up on the other side. Make sure you loop that around. And when we do the crochet around, I always work 2 in this section here. If you'd like, you can work 3. And now we need to turn it to go around this corner. And you'll notice that I didn't put marks on this side of the zipper. And that's because when I work this side, I just try to mimic where these stitches are on the opposite side. Try to line them up and then stay along this different section right here. Okay, so just continue along to the other side. And at the other end, work across this bit here, just like we did before. And when you come back to the beginning stitch, you're just going to finish off right there. And I'll show you that. Then we're going to work with our 4mm hook and our dishcloth cotton. There's one, and then your final stitch, we're going to work it right into the base of the first stitch. Like that. And then we're going to simply tuck this one in like we did with the other finishing, like so. Don't do too tight because you need to be able to work into the stitch. And then weave that in. And weave in any of the other ends that you have back there. You can sew them, you can knot them, whatever you feel comfortable doing. And then we're going to use our 4mm hook and our dishcloth cotton. And I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so you have all of the stitches around, you've woven in your ends. Now we're going to add the King Cole Big Value Recycled Dishcloth Cotton. It's an Aran weight yarn. It's very similar to a medium weight yarn. I'm going to use my 4mm hook. So I'm making a slip knot and placing it on my hook. And now I like to start near a corner, so just before or just after. I'm going to start just about here, I think. And now working under both of those loops. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, like that. Now work 1 into every stitch across. And when you get to the end, so this stitch and this stitch, work 2 stitches, 2 single crochets in each end. And we'll meet back up right here. This is where we'll switch to our larger hook, the H hook. And then we're going to continue working in spirals around the entire zipper until you have the project size you want for your bag. So I'll meet you back up here in a minute. For the end stitch, work 2 single crochets. And now work 1 in each remaining to the other end, where you'll work 2 more in that end stitch. And now we reach the other end, so we work 2 into the very end stitch, so this one here where it crosses over. And then 1 into the remaining stitches. Okay. And now we're at the beginning where we started. And to continue working this project, I'm going to switch my hook to the 5mm hook. So you just switch over to the bigger hook, and now we're just going to keep working. We're not going to slip stitch to join, we're just going to start working right into that first stitch. And the rest of the project, you just crochet around 1 in every stitch until you have a bag to the exact size you want it to be. Once you're happy with the size of your crochet bag, for my project I worked 32 rows of single crochet evenly up to the end. Finish off your yarn at one of the side edges. So on one of these sides for your project, and then cut your yarn end and pull the loop through. And now we're going to turn our bag inside out. So first, undo your zipper, and then flip your project inside out. Now take this yarn end and place it on one of your yarn needles with the blunt end on the end. And now we'll whip stitch through both edges of the project all the way across. Now try to line up your stitches as best you can, and we're going to work through under both loops from each side. So under both loops on this side, under both loops on the front side here, and pick up both loops on the back side as well. I don't know if you can see that. Like that. And continue doing this all the way across. Okay, so it's going to look like this. Continue doing this all the way across to this corner, and then finish this yarn off and weave in the end. And if you want, you can trim these ends down here, or you can leave them in. It's up to you. They're not really getting in my way, so I'm just going to leave them be. Flip your bag right side out. And then you'll see that's the other edge. I like to go through both, the front and back loop on both edges, because I find it makes this just a little bit more snug than if you just use one loop. It's a little bit of a thicker seam. But you can use one loop. There's many ways to close up the bottom. You could even do a slip stitch all the way across if you'd like. This is just my preferred go-to method. Then you have your little bag. And you're all ready to go. Let me know if you make this in the comments. I'd love to see your projects. I'll add the project to Ravelry so that you can add project pages there if you have an account. Thanks so much for following along and trying this easy project.